Action.
Hi, you're here with Matt and Em, and on this episode, we're talking about tip number 8, limiting alcohol to survive toxic holiday stress. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Pop over to the Facebook for more conversation, and let's just jump in. Hey, I'm Emily Ross, and this is
Matthew.
It's Matthew.
Otherwise known as Eminem.
That's actually really cute. I hope it doesn't catch, though. So all month long, or for the past couple months, we've been talking about tips to manage toxic holiday gatherings. So before today, we've done boundaries, deep breathing, focusing on the positive, Matt's favorite, which is
The exit plan.
self-care, bringing a buffer. I bring my buffer husband. And gratitude. Today we're on number 8, limiting alcohol, which is a key for healthier holiday celebrations and celebrations in general. So what do you want to say about that?
Well, I personally disagree with that.
Oh boy. Way to start.
What?
Why do you disagree with it?
Because alcohol's bad.
Because alcohol is bad?
Yeah. We'll edit this shit out.
No, we're not editing anything. You say it, it's on there. I feel like we all have that holiday story of drinking gone awry, or maybe it's just my toxic, mentally ill, substance abuse using family. But, you know, there's kind of family folklore. If it's after 5, don't pick up phone calls. Don't, like, if you want to survive, maybe tap out when the sun goes down. Like, I feel like a lot of us have at least one family member that we know to steer clear of when they've had a little bit much to drink. And it can be extra. Were you the family member, or you know one?
I was one.
You are one.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some obvious reasons to limit alcohol. You want to tell any funny stories of yourself?
Absolutely not. Thank you very much.
Well, I think if you have any experience drinking, you know that adding alcohol to tense situations might work initially, and then as the night goes on, it tends to exacerbate existing conflicts and minimize our impulse control so that we say and do things that we perhaps would not, or most likely would not say and do had the alcohol been left out. So if you know you're going into a situation that's toxic and stressful, well, it might feel comfortable to take the edge off, so to speak. It sometimes will come back to bite you. So we're here to try to convince you to try it sober at least this once and see how that goes, huh?
Well, yeah, it's alcoholism and alcohol in general is just, it really depends on the person. Just from where I've been in my past to where I am now, I recommend nobody drink ever. But, obviously there's normal drinkers out there that can, have a drink or two. I wasn't one of those. I just didn't want to stop. And I've known some people at parties and stuff that do the same thing, and things get out of control and sloppy, and it becomes unfun.
For everybody.
Yeah, for everybody. And, but it's, to tell people not to drink is not what we're really here to do. If, just things can easily get out of control after too many drinks, and as Emmy said, your filters kind of lower, and your inhibitions lower a little bit, and you're ready to respond to people being people. But for me in the past, it was most of the time I I didn't drink during the holiday or during the family actually getting together type stuff. It wasn't until after that I drank. But to use alcohol as a means of getting the edge off, or helping you deal with stress or something like that, to me, it's not a good idea, just because of possible consequences, I guess.
Well, let's sit there for a minute. So coping skills are things that help you mitigate the intensity of an emotion. So alcohol actually is a coping skill. It's just a maladaptive one. It goes sideways more often than not. Any coping skill can become detrimental or maladaptive to you if you overuse it, and alcohol is not an exception. The problem with alcohol and drugs and things like sleeping and using food as coping skills is that they tend to work really quickly. And when we have an intense emotion and we're uncomfortable, we just want that to stop. And so when I sit across from somebody in therapy and I try to say, hey, this other coping skill will help, it won't help in the moment, but if you continue to do the coping skill and you implement a practice with the coping skill, I'll use running because it's my favorite. If I run every day, the intense family situations just don't hit the same anymore. The coping skill works, but not in the moment, because I can't stop, drop, and run if Uncle Johnny starts running his mouth to me in the middle of a party.
That would be cool, though.
I mean, it would be. I actually have had a boss, shout out to Randy Ditmore. I had a boss who once said, hey, I want you to log off the computer and go for a run as long as you need to, don't come back, and you're not allowed to talk to the nurses for the rest of today. And I did, and I went and I ran and I came back and I was just a whole new person. But that's not practical, and it's not what we're going to have you do in a holiday party. But you've got to understand that when you cope adaptively, when you have healthy coping skills, you have to have a practice of using them daily for them to continue to be effective. You can't just always cope after the fact. And I say you can't just always grab a drink when things get hard. You can. It's just not going to lead to the life that most of us want. So know that the trade-off for doing things healthier takes time, and use that as a motivation to implement a practice. A lot of what happens is we start to feel better. Like I just did this. I started to feel better. I was having a great run and I was like, oh, I don't need to run anymore. I'm cured. And, sure enough, he laughs because I was not in fact cured. And when I get real grouchy and I'm irritable and things are hitting me different than it's typical, he's like, hey, you haven't been running in a while. And I know that means that it's time for me to go running again.
No, I just noticed you haven't been running in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When Emily came to me with this, wanting me to get on this side of the camera, I'm not comfortable with that, but I didn't have to take a drink to do it. But we're not, and she told me what the subject was today, and I was like, well, limiting your drinking at parties and stuff. I don't know anything about that, because I was either all or nothing. I either drank it all or nothing and was miserable. So, it's like I said earlier, I'd like the whole world not to drink, just because of of my experiences. But there's normal drinkers out there. There's people that can have a few drinks and be just fine. I just wasn't one of those people. So, if responsible drinkers, sure, limit your intake. And, because sometimes people drink excessively during the holidays or at holiday parties and stuff. So, by no means are we just saying don't drink ever. If you're a normal drinker, drink. That's fine.
Okay. Well, so reasons why it's good to limit alcohol around the holidays is that it is safer, it's easier to avoid conflicts, reduces the risk of accidents. Sometimes we have a little bit more than we intend and don't realize how tipsy we are. better decision making, sober, improved health, and a decrease in alcohol related disruptions. That's my personal favorite with my family stories. I have some real gems of stories. So, yeah. What else should we say about that? Do y'all need, if y'all want tips on how to, so one of the things I've shared a few times now is that I got sober a year ago, right around Thanksgiving. And so going into the holidays felt awkward and uncomfortable for me because the expectation, I'm almost 50, the expectation to everybody was that I would drink. And I didn't really want to say, hey, I'm not drinking anymore, because I had done that several times and not been successful. So I really wasn't announcing it. And people gave me some tips about how to do that without feeling like I needed to tell people all my personal information. Because I think sometimes when you're a very genuine person and you don't tell lies, and somebody asks you a question and you don't really want to share the answer, we tend to just share it because we don't know what else to say. So I think sometimes if that's something that you're trying to do, like if you're trying to get sober right now and it's a really tough time of year to get sober, having a response ready for when people, oh, why are you not drinking today? Have a response ready, whatever it is. Like, oh, I don't feel like it. Or I would use running a lot at first. Like I have these big running goals and I can't run well when I drink. So
I'm in training.
Yeah, like I have a long run tomorrow and I don't want to be hungover for it. Like I would say things like that, which didn't feel like lying to me because I was running. So whatever feels comfortable to you about saying that you're, setting that limit. And it's really important to surround yourself with people who would respect that limit from you, right? Like not try to pressure you to drink. There's contexts where that might happen, especially, in my family of origin, it's just an expectation that you drink. If you're not drinking, that's weird. So there'd be a lot to say about that. So just having a response ready and an exit plan, a strategy and a buffer. See how these are all starting to work together to really surround you with good mental health and with good abilities to make good decisions in the moment. So having a response ready, that's a good tip for trying not to drink.
Well, all these tips that we've had so far, the boundaries, you set the boundaries when you get to the party. Have your wingman there to help you. If you're planning on drinking, say, look, wingman, I only want to drink a couple, and just please
have them help you with that.
Help me. And then have an exit plan for real to keep yourself. It really keeps yourself safe. I mean, and I was never able to really bow out successfully with Grace very often. Most often, I just snuck out somehow because I didn't want to be there anymore. But if I was with somebody, they would actually help me respectfully leave. And what else? Yeah.
I mean, I like that using your wingman. My wingman growing up was Holly. She's my best friend from 7th grade, and she would just switch me to water. I had a really difficult time from very early in my life knowing when or where my limit was alcohol wise. And so when we were together and she was my wingman, she would just switch me to water or switch me to just Diet Pepsi and not even tell me. And I would drink it and be like, oh, okay, thanks. Like I knew she had my back. I found it supportive of her to do that. So having a wingman that you feel comfortable accepting that kind of boundary from and that you can rely on to tell you when enough's enough. Another suggestion I got early in sobriety when I mentioned feeling uncomfortable in situations where everybody was drinking but me, they suggested I order a Diet Pepsi with a lime. And so like they'd put it in a little, so it looked like a cocktail if you weren't paying attention to that kind of thing. So then I didn't feel other than or different and I didn't have to drink to, do that. So that's another thing that you can do. What other tips you got?
I don't, it's, what other tips? I don't know.
I mean, the other thing is spiritual soundness. Like I had to say no to some parties early on because I wasn't in like the spiritual headspace to say no to things that would have been offered to me, and knowing yourself enough to know like, hey, this isn't a day I'm going to be able to stick to my goal, and deciding not to go because that's what's best for your mental health and your physical health and your well-being, knowing that that's okay. That's part of having good boundaries, right? I knew a few times I couldn't go. That still even happens. Like there's just times where I feel more vulnerable to it, and I don't want to ruin my goal.
Right. And when Emily and I first got together, and her three beautiful girls we'd go out somewhere, or I think I remember Christina, the middle one, going to a concert or something, maybe a school dance or something. And she said, Maddie, how do I look? And I looked at her and I said, well, you look great. How do you feel? Oh, I'm fine. I mean, is it comfortable? Do you feel comfortable about yourself? Not are the shoes comfortable or anything like that, but do you feel comfortable? Like, you know, yeah, and I don't necessarily know what that means, but what I always stress to my girls is do what makes you feel comfortable. Always do what makes you feel comfortable. I would tell any one of them, if you don't feel comfortable, or you think you shouldn't go to this whatever, please don't go. If it's that bad of a, you know, if the feelings are that negative towards it, it's you might not be in this position that day to go do that sort of stuff.
And that gets to be okay.
Yeah, and that's just fine. It's okay to say, well, you know, look, Brother Bob, I'm just not going to be able to make it. I'm not feeling, you know, whatever. Just find a way to live comfortably is really kind of just what we're trying to do. How to respond well to life, and how to respond well to family, because family doesn't always respond well to you, you know.
And it goes back to self-love. I will always say that once you love yourself, everything changes. And when you love yourself enough to know that it's not a good day for you to go be around family that or friends or in a situation, work party, it doesn't matter. And you love yourself enough to allow yourself that space, everything in your life will change.
Yeah, and there's something else that I say a lot. And I said it yesterday, as a matter of fact, but it's, and it has to do with change, with people making big changes in their life, and trying to get rid of some negative behaviors that are not necessarily theirs, but surrounded by us. And that saying is, eliminate the negative things in your life. Eliminate, just get them away from you, and accentuate the positive things that are in your life. Make them better. Do what you can to cherish those. Make them better. And you eliminate those negative things. That just leaves more room for positive things to come in, and you know, and that's kind of where a happiness comes. I don't want to be stressed out anymore. I don't want to be uncomfortable, you know, going into HEB, which I'm still. HEB is a grocery store where people just stand around in the aisle. I don't want to go in there because it's
too people-y.
It's annoying.
He doesn't.
So what do? I eliminate the negative. I go to the next grocery store down the road, and when that one starts to trip out, I go to the next one. You know, I'm just protecting myself.
And I think he just needs to make being around a lot of people familiar, because he married a flaming extrovert. And so when we first got together, I'd have a party every month for like the first 6 months. Like we had a party every single month, and I was like, surely this will become familiar to him and we will be able to live happily ever after, socializing and having people over constantly.
Yeah. And then she needs to realize that she married an introvert.
I don't know what that is.
That's a person that needs to recharge with no people around.
right. So the unfair thing about this is that everybody in my family is introverted. I have 3 children and a husband, and they're all introverted. And so I'm over here.
Jaden's not introverted.
Jaden's not introverted, but she's so adventurous. She's like off in a different state, so I can't socialize with her. Anyways, we digress.
No, we don't. We're going to keep talking about being an introvert. Oh, wait, that's not this time. We'll do another video on being an introvert and an extrovert.
Oh, God.
Amen, sister.
This is going side. He's trying to come up with ways to get me not to have him be on the side of the camera. I think, why don't we do flooding? That's a therapeutic technique where you overexpose somebody to something that they're fearful of. So I'll have a party with like 200 people, and then you'll be cured of your introversion.
That's dangerous.
Why? Our house can fit 200 people. What's dangerous about it?
200 people? No, that would be very dangerous.
To who?
Everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody
Okay.
that's not me.
Come to our toxic holiday party where Matthew's hiding because I have too many people over. You're an awesome host, though.
I don't hide. I am a great host.
He really is a great host. He does everything. Like, he makes sure everybody's happy, and he comes and tells me I'm doing a great job. Like, nothing he does makes me want to not have parties.
Yep.
Okay, so we are on number 8, limiting alcohol, or if you know that alcohol is a problem for you, maybe just decide to put it up now. And if we didn't mention tips that you know are helpful or that you find personally helpful, please share them in the comments so other people can see them. We will, next up is number 9, which is mindfulness. Number 9 is mindfulness. Then we have one more after that, and then we will go on to the next topic, which you need to help us decide.
In being an introvert.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Introvert versus extrovert.
I think that introvert versus
Battle
extrovert.
Royale.
I think it should be a reaction video, so people can see that I literally talk constantly through movies, and you just sit here like this and say no words for like hours at a time
because I'm busy watching a movie.
Right, but like I have questions about the movie, and I know he knows the answers to the movies, so
yeah. All right. Just y'all find a way to get me on the other side of the camera. I appreciate that.
Vote for the party in the comments. We can have a practice run for Emmy's 50th birthday because I'll be 49 this year, so we can have a practice 50th birthday party for me. Yeah. And y'all can come. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and pop over to the Facebook. Facebook's no fun unless y'all are having conversations over there. So go over there, give support, get sport. If you're trying to get sober during the holidays, let us know, and tell us how we can help. Thanks for tuning in. You can dance? Dance.